Hello, how are we doing? It has been a good day. And I was just listening to my new audiobook, which I am so into, you guys. It is Artemis by Andy Weir, and he's the one that wrote The Martian. Did you see the movie or read the book? And it is really, really good. And I don't even want to tell you what it's about. Just trust me, it's good. If you like any kind of like space or science fiction kind of stuff, and I don't love science fiction, so it's really interesting that I like this book, but it is really, really entertaining. And I love the characters that are in it, and it's just a really quick listen, a quick read, you know? Anyway, it has been a great day. Although not very warm in Indianapolis. It's cold right now. It's like 33. I had to have the heat on earlier, so I don't know. We may have to do several takes in this vlog tonight because it may shut down. But it's been a good day. I got up this morning at like 10, and I had to go into my office because I had a meeting for a team building thing that I am doing tomorrow. Which I'm real excited about because I got everything done, and it's going to be really, I think it's going to be a fun one. It's like a smaller group too, so sometimes it works better when they're smaller groups. Excuse me. So I'm really excited about that. And then I had to meet with my landlord for my office because they're fixing the ceiling. They're fixing the roof on my office building. I don't know that I've talked about this on here, but like my office has been leaking for like the past month, and they can't figure out why it's leaking. Like when the snow melted and the ice melted, it was like leaking straight into my office. And it was leaking into the office, the room where I meet with people. So it just was like, I had buckets on my floor and like ceiling tiles were crashing. It was bad. So my landlord, who is such an amazing guy, he like came in and cleaned it all up. And so anyway, I met with him today, and he told me they're gonna start on the new roof in like 2 weeks, 15 days is what he said. And he's like, Peter, we stand up there, and he was like, unless it's raining, we're not gonna be able to find out exactly like where it's going down. And he was like, we just can't see where the leak is. And he was like, and it's not just in your office, there's another office that's leaking too, and we can't figure it out. But the building is really old. The building was there when my mom was, it's like in the area where my mom went to high school. It's called Broderpool. And the building was there when my mom was in high school. Isn't that crazy? So it's weird to think that like my mom used to like walk by there. I used to walk by it when I was a kid, so it's strange that like that's my office now. But anyway, the restaurant that used to be right underneath where my office is, when I was growing up as a kid, like we would always go there for family dinners with my aunt and uncle. It's called Ambrosia, and now Ambrosia has moved, and there's a restaurant if you're in Indianapolis, you'll know what I'm talking about. Right underneath my office is a restaurant called 317 Burger, and 317 is the area code of Indianapolis, and they have all different kinds of burgers and stuff. It's fun. They have like macaroni and cheese balls, and Broderpool, where my office is very artsy. And then there's a lot of college bars because it is right by Butler's campus. There's also IUPUI, which is Indiana University, Purdue University in Indianapolis. So there's a lot of college kids in that area, especially from Butler. And because you're like 5 minutes, if not even that, from Butler. And so you always see like Butler, you know, students walking around with Butler sweatshirts on and stuff. And then there's always like all the hippie types and skater types and all that kind of stuff. It's just very eclectic, and I love being there. So then I left, and I went and got my coffee, which I just finished. And what did I do after that? I talked to Tanya on the phone for a long time. And what else? Talked to Rich Lux on the phone for a long time. And then went home and made my videos. And I took a shower this morning when I got up because I was meeting with people. I actually had my hair and everything done in my videos today. Now look at it after I took a nap. And then Alex wasn't getting home till late, so I got something to eat at like 5. I was really hungry, and I ate, and then read a lot because I was waiting for him to come home. and we were gonna watch TV together, and it was interesting, like he came home and he brought Chipotle, and so we were sitting there. Do you guys ever do this? Like we haven't done this in a long time, where you just kind of like, you don't ever put on a TV show. We were gonna watch the assassination of Gianni Versace, and we have that and Project Runway to catch up on. By the way, I just watched 60 Days In while I was eating dinner tonight, because Alex doesn't watch that show. Are you guys watching 60 Days In? That show, like, those people are crazy, okay? They're straight up crazy. They've lost their minds. They're buying and doing drugs in jail. They're having sex. They're having relationships with people. Like, they've lost their minds. They've gone completely rogue. And it is, like, the craziest season of 60 Days In I have ever seen, period. The show is so interesting anyway, but it's like, and I'm still caught up on that Undercover High, too. Did you guys watch that show? What about that one girl that just like left? She was there for like a day, and then she said, I can't handle this. I'm not gonna make friends with anybody. I was like, are you like a participant in the program, or are you like a high school student? It was so weird. It was so kind of like uncomfortable to watch, honestly. But that show is so good. What kills me though is that they tell the principal things that are going on, and the principal really just kind of like makes excuses and acts like she doesn't care. It's kind of sad, honestly. I don't know if anybody else gets that take from it, but like that's kind of the take that I get. So anyway, then Alex came home and we were sitting there and he was eating this Chipotle, and we were like, okay, so what should we watch on TV? And neither one of us said anything, and like the TV was on, and it had just started the movie The Help. Do you guys remember that movie? So I was like, I can't remember the last time that I saw this movie. And he was like, we saw it in the movie theater together. And I was like, did we? I was like, I don't remember that. He was like, yeah. And so we sat there, and I forgot what a great movie the movie The Help is. So we sat there and we watched that movie, and some of those actresses are fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I forgot that Viola Davis was in it. I don't know how I forgot that, but we sat there and we watched. I was just like, we were like looking at stuff on Instagram, and he was showing me shoes he wants to get for the summer and all these different sneakers, and we were completely zoned out. And I'm like this, like watching The Help. I haven't done that with a movie in a long time. I want to go see the new The Stranger so bad. And Alex said to me at night, I was like, don't you want to see The Stranger so bad? And he was like, I haven't seen a scary movie in so long. I'm kind of scared to go see one. I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I'm kind of scared to go see it because I haven't seen like a scary horror movie in a long time, and I don't know like how I'll handle it. I was like, you'll be completely fine. Just don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it, as Boo Radley says. And then I laid down at like 9 or 10, like 10 o'clock. I was so tired, and I was like, I'm gonna lay down for like a half an hour. So I laid down for like a half an hour, and I got up and we hung out for a little bit longer. Boo Radley took a nap with me. He was so sweet. And so then I got up, and Alex had given PP his medicine and all this kind of stuff. He only coughed one time today. PP only coughed one time today. I was so happy. And I figured out, like, he's not eating a lot of his meals. And we put it in this, like, old Noodles and Company container, this bowl, and then we have, like, a raised thing so PP doesn't have to put his head way down. And I couldn't figure out, he just kind of picks at it, and I couldn't figure out why he wasn't eating it. And I kind of thought maybe it's because he's lost a lot of teeth. He's having a hard time, like, getting it in his mouth. So, you guys want to know a funny story? Here's a funny story. So, Alex and I house sit for my dad, like, and my stepmom when they go out of town. And, which is always a trip, because then there's like 5 dogs over there. But we house sit for my dad and my stepmom when they go out of town. Well, my dad, first of all, he feeds his dogs. Well, they only have one dog now, but they feed their dogs table scraps, okay? My dad is, like, he is so old school with stuff. Like, he will purposely, there was just like a person standing on the side of the road. Oh my God, that was so creepy. At 2:15 in the morning. Oh my God. But he'll, like, cook up hamburger and cook up pieces of steak and, like, give it to the dogs, right? And all of his dogs, like, when people are like, oh, well, that's really unhealthy for dogs. It may be, but all of his dogs live to be, like, 18. They really do. And, so anyway, what he does is he gets hamburger, and then you have to cook it in the microwave, like this like pre-cooked hamburger stuff that he gets, and then you have to put it on a plate, right? And because he had small dogs, the last 2 dogs he had were both Yorkies, and you have to like place it, like you make a little circle like that. Can you see? Like a little, you know, yeah, you get it, right? So anyway, and then you put them around the edges of the plate and in the middle and stuff, like little like dots of whipped cream. He also does that. He gets Miracle Whip for the dogs, like those cans of it, and then he puts them on like a plate, cause like for a little special treat for the dogs. Like that's what he does for them. So anyway, I was like, well, maybe if I put it on a plate. Oh, this is the other thing from my dad. So, the first time we ever house sit for him, he typed up like a 5-page book on all of the rules of taking care of the dogs. I'm not lying. Like, this is the truth. Okay. My dad is like, I get the animal thing from my dad. Like, my mom was not an animal person. I mean, she had dogs, but she had 1 dog the whole time that I was alive, but she was not an animal person, and she was very terrified of dogs. Like, she would even be scared of pee-pee. I mean, I'm not even lying. My mom just, like, the fact that he's like runs around and stuff, she'd be like, oh, okay, what's going on? Like, he would make her nervous, I think. And so anyway, but my dad has like always been a dog person, and so the dogs eat in a certain place in his house. They eat in the basement by the stairs, by the bottom of the stairs. And so you had to sing this song, and my dad he made me and Alex practice it with him, okay? And you have to like carry the plate, and you have to go, zones of eatery, zones of eatery, and you have to sing. My dad sings songs like I do and makes up songs. My dad and I are very, very much alike. And so you have to sing it the whole way that you're going down there, and then you put the plate on the phone, or on the floor, and so that they can eat, right? Well, I didn't sing the song, but I did it with Pee-Pee tonight, and I took his canned food, and I put it in little dots all around the edge of the plate. He ate that shit right up. I mean, he ate it like nobody's business, and it was like a third of the can. So I did it again, and the second plate, he didn't eat. I have a picture of it. I'll show you in a second, because I sent Alex a picture. I was so excited. I was like, Pee-Pee ate all of his food. I can't believe it. And then I did a second plate of it, and he didn't eat the second plate. So I think he got full real quick. But then Alex gave him, so the second plate I put in the refrigerator, and Alex gave it to him tonight, like after they went out, and he gave him his medicine and stuff like that, and he ate that second plate right up too. So I think it's that he's really having a hard time like getting the food when it's like in these big like clumps, you know? I think he's having a hard time getting it out of the bowl, so I'm just gonna feed him that way from now on. Here, I'll show you what it looks like. You guys are gonna be like, Peter, we do not need a visual, but I'm gonna show you a visual anyway, because come in here at the stop sign. Okay. Are you guys ready? You're like, Peter, why are you showing us this? So this is what it looks like. And he ate it right up. I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, Pee-Pee ate it right up. So, and Boo Radley ate all his food, and Tucker always eats all of his food. I'm like kind of hungry right now. Because I ate so early. I ate at like 5. I started this and I was like, I'm ready to vlog. Like, I want to vlog for an hour, and I want to tell all kinds of stories, and now I'm like, I don't know what kind of stories to tell. What story should I tell tonight? What's a good story? Fun story. Well, since we're going to Miami, I could tell about the first time that Alex and I went to Florida together. So the first time that Alex and I went to Florida together, I'm just like pulling the story out of my ass, but you guys like stories sometimes. You say you do. So if you like the stories, let me know. The first time we went to Florida together, Alex and his friend Demi, who now lives in New York City. Hey, Demi. I know he doesn't watch my videos. Demetrius. But anyway, Demi and Alex decided that they were going to go to Florida for spring break. And they weren't even, well, Demi was still in college, but Alex wasn't. And so I was like, well, I want to go. And they're like, okay. And I really kind of think, even though it was at like 6 or 8 months of us, well, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, 8 months of us dating, I think that Alex wanted to do like kind of like a boys trip, if that makes sense. But he was like, actually, I think it would be really fun if you came and it would be a good time for us and all this kind of stuff. So, they wanted to stay in some shithole hotel that they could get for like $100 a week. And I was like, oh, no. If we're going to go down there, we're going to stay somewhere nice. And so, because I mean, I was like 36 at the time, you know what I mean? Coming on 37, I was like not staying in some like spring break hotel. So we ended up going down there and we stayed at the Westin, which was really nice. And it was like this time that year, because this would have been the first year that we were together. Because I remember it was St. Patrick's Day. This is the story. So we are going to go out to all the gay bars for St. Patrick's Day. Oh, we went to Fort Lauderdale. So, and then we went to Miami like one night. And that was like the last night that we were there. But, and that was my very first experience going to Miami. We had so much fun. We went to Twist, which is this gay bar in Miami. So funny, like I don't ever go to gay bars anymore. When we go to Miami, we usually do like one night, but look at my hair. Hello. I kind of wish I would have let my hair a little bit longer. It's like really short right now. But anyway, we used to go to gay bars a lot. So we were down there and they wanted to go to all the gay bars in Fort Lauderdale, of which there are many, because Fort Lauderdale has like a really high population of like, it has a really large gay community. And it's like in an area called Wilton Manors. I think that's what it's called, Wilton Manors. And it's cute. Like, there's a lot of really cute houses around there, and little shops and stuff like that, and like restaurants. And like, I've never been somebody that's wanted to be completely like submerged in gay culture, you know what I mean? But like, if I did, like that would be where I would live. Like, it felt very safe. It was adorable little streets and houses. If you've never been there before, it's like it's a cute area. So I remember that there were these guys there too that I knew that from sobriety, and they were all going to this gay sobriety like roundup in Miami. And they're like, oh, you should come down for a couple days. And I was like, well, I've never, like, it's like a gay conference. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so like in sobriety, they have like all different conferences. Like last week, Tanya and I went to like the state conference. There's all different kinds of conferences. International conference where hundreds of thousands of people went to Atlanta. That was like 2 years ago. So anyway, I think the next international conference is in Detroit, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, they've had them like out of the country and stuff. They're a huge deal. But there was like this LGBT roundup, sobriety roundup. And I was like, well, what makes it different? Like, well, other than just it being like all LGBT people. And this guy, he's so nice. Like, he's a really neat guy. He was like, well, there's like special meetings. And like this one meeting, like you go to, and they pass a basket, and the basket has like, all of these, like, it has like Madonna songs. And so you pull out a Madonna song, and that's like what you talk about. And I'm like, I don't get it. And they're like, so if you pull out like a Virgin, then you talk about like sex and sobriety or something. I'm like, are you serious? Like, I don't know what I think about all that. So anyway, I mean, it's a cute idea, I guess, but conventions are fun. If you're sober and you've never been to a convention, go. You stay up 24 hours a day. You know, you go to like, they have round-the-clock meetings, just meeting, and it sounds boring, but it's not. It's a lot of fun. They have dances, and it's just, it's a good time. So anyway, so they were down there. We ended up hanging out with like two of them. And then we went out with them to, is there a Hamburger Mary's in Miami? It was something like that. It was this very, very gay restaurant. It was so much fun. And like I said, like we don't have that in Indianapolis. Like we have a few gay bars, but like Indianapolis is really like, the gay community is almost like non-existent here now. Like there's like 3 or 4 bars and that's like it. And back in the day, like when I was like 21, it was like crazy here. I mean, there was like a whole street that every store, every restaurant, every bar was like gay owned and operated. And So we went to this restaurant, and I'll never forget. I'll have to post that picture on Instagram. We had such a blast, and I wonder where that t-shirt is that I wore. The t-shirt has this surfer and then a shark coming on the water at it. I don't know where I got that t-shirt, but it was cute. I mean, I was like 175 at that time, okay? I'm not today. Let's just put that out there. So anyway, we had such a good time hanging out with them, and I remember one of them had a Jeep, and like was driving us back, and I don't know how they had a Jeep. So anyway, but we had a really good time, and then we met this other couple that was from like Louisville, and so like Alex and Demi and I, and then this couple from Louisville, and then these two guys that were in sobriety, we like all hung out together for like 2 days, and then they left and went to Miami, and then like the other couple that was there, they were there like for the whole time that we were, and so for St. Patrick's Day, Alex and Demi have like planned, okay, these two, let me just tell you, are costumes, okay, all the way. For every Halloween, Alex doesn't do it as much anymore, but back in the day he did. For every Halloween, he still gets really big into a costume because Alex loves costumes, but back then, he and Demi, like, I mean, it was out of control, these costumes. They were hilarious, like what they would like plan. And it was always something sexy, right? So they're gonna like get all dressed up for St. Patrick's Day. So Alex has on like, you know those old like 70s shorts that like have the white lining on them and stuff, those terry cloth shorts. Alex gets some like booty shorts like that, and that are green and white. And then he has green suspenders, and then my green trucker hat that I had, and then he had on like a white tank top underneath it. And then Demi had on some little similar kind of outfit, and I'll never forget he had this headband on that had a little green hat on it. And I'll have to find a picture and post it for St. Patrick's Day of the three of us. And I had this like, this is when I was like very proud of my body. I had, because you guys know I love thrift clothes, so I had this old baseball shirt that was like that mesh, you know, where you can't really see through it, but it's mesh, and it was like white ringer tee, but then this was all green, and I wore jeans and like, I don't know, sneakers, and just that was it. That was my St. Patrick's Day thing. So we go out to dinner. We started dinner at this one place. I can't remember what, it's like the very end of the strip kind of bars. We started there, and then we started walking down the strip, and there were like little bars, and we would go in there, and then they would have like a beer, and then we went to these shops, and we kind of like looked around and like shopped at these shops. There was a shop back in the day, it was called Tops and Bottoms. Isn't that kind of a cute name for a gay clothing store? But it was like all bathing suits, and they had really cute stuff. I don't think it's there anymore, actually. The last time we went to Fort Lauderdale, we haven't been to Fort Lauderdale in a couple years. The last time we went, we just didn't have that great of a time. But anyway, the last time we went was the last time we drove. No, that's not true. It was the second to the last time that we drove, because we stayed in Fort Lauderdale for 2 nights. I really wanted to stay at the W in Fort Lauderdale, and so we got really cheap rates at the last minute, and that place, it was a shithole, and the people were rude, and I will never stay there again, and I would never recommend anybody to stay at the W in Fort Lauderdale. So anyway, okay, that was that. So anyway, then we go to this bar, and it's now, like, at this point, yeah, because people go out early on St. Patrick's Day. It's like 6 or 7 in the early evening, and we'd eaten dinner at this place, and we go in, and it's this dark bar. There's like nobody in there. It's us and like the bartender and a friend, and it's like real sketchy. And there was like a pool table, and it was really dark, and it was like not a bar. I mean, it was a bar, but it was like nothing going on. It was kind of scary. When across the street where we were going was like loud, and like there were all these people sitting on the patio, sitting on the balcony. It was like we couldn't wait to get over there. So anyway, we go in there, and you know I drink Diet Cokes, like when I go out typically. So we're sitting there, and Alex and Demi both get a green beer, and then I got a Diet Coke, and they served it to me in like one of those like red plastic cups, those big ones. You guys know what I'm talking about, like Pizza Hut used to have them back in the day. And now, I'm really weird about drinks that are given to me if I don't like watch it at a bar. Like Alex got the drinks, and then he brought them over to us. And like, because we were sitting at like this little table with 3 stools, I'm really weird if I don't see like somebody open like a bottle of water, if I don't see that, like, or if I don't see somebody like open like a Red Bull, or if I don't see them put the tap right into the cup, I'm very weird about it. And as should anybody, you know. So anyway, Alex brings these drinks over, and I'm like, so I always smell my drinks because I have like really weird perfection smelling. Like, I can smell stuff from like a mile away, right? And, you know, like, and especially alcohol, for having been sober for 23 years. Where is the turn here? Okay. For having been sober for 23 years. No, I'm not back on that road. And I just want to say this really quick. Somebody said yesterday about something, there was like a couple comments about me not stopping to help that person. It was right in front of a house. And they had flashers all around it and stuff like that. I am not gonna ever stop at 3 o'clock in the morning to help somebody on some side country road. I'm sorry, I'm just not that good of a citizen, but I would have no problem calling 911. I probably wouldn't even get close and roll down my window. My personal safety is just too important to me. I'm sorry, and if that makes me seem like a bad person, that's just crazy stuff happens out there in the world. But I would have no problem calling the police and saying, hey, there's a car that's down, you know, whatever. And I've done that a lot for people. So, but I don't believe that we have a law where you have to pull over and help somebody. I'm not sure that we have that law. Anyway, somebody said that. I was like, do we have that law? I don't know. Do we? If you live in Indiana and you know that law, let me know. So anyway, so we are like in this bar, and we're like, Alex brings me this Diet Coke, and I'm like, I go to smell it, and I'm like, oh no. And it wasn't like, usually like if a bartender gets a Diet Coke wrong, they give me like a rum and Diet Coke, and it very rarely happens anyway, because I am like just a Diet Coke. And I usually drink bottled water now when I go out, so it never happens because it's just easier that way. And the one thing about going out is it kind of sucks when you're sober because there's just not a lot of options. You know, you get real tired of drinking Diet Coke. You know, it's like, I did tonic water for a long time. I don't know, like, I changed to tonic water. That was stupid. I hate tonic water. And, you know, orange juice I've drank before. I've even, like, drank, Tanya and I, we went out a couple times and drank Bloody Mary mix. My stomach hurt the next day, so that was dumb. So I either stick to, like, Red Bull or, like, energy drinks, or water these days. Diet Coke. But, you know, to get charged $3 for a Diet Coke in a bar for a cup that is that big is bullshit, I think. So anyway, so we are in this bar, and I'm like, there's something funny with this drink. And Alex is like, he goes, he just poured it out of there. There can't be anything weird with it. And I go, no, there's something weird with this drink. And so Alex takes it, and he's like, let me taste it. And he like chugs like this much of the drink. And he was like, no. He was like, that Diet Coke tastes perfect. He was like, there's nothing wrong with that Diet Coke. And I go, really? And he's like, yeah. And Demi's like, let me taste it. And so Demi goes to smell it, and as Demi's face hits it, he goes, there's something wrong with that Diet Coke. And Alex goes, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And he goes to it again, and as Alex goes to it, and I think it's because at that point it had kind of mixed up, Alex goes, there is something wrong with that. What is it? And he takes another sip of it, okay? So they drink their beers. We don't think anything about it much after that. I just was like, no, I don't want it. It's bad. There's something bad in there. I don't want it, okay? And I didn't mean like, it was never even on my radar because it was just us and the bartender. I never thought the bartender put something in it. I just thought that like maybe like the carbonation was bad or it was off or something like that. Didn't think anything else about it. We walk across the street, okay? And Demi and Alex and I go to the bar. Now, Alex has had 1 beer at dinner and 1 beer at this other place. He's had 2 beers, okay? My husband is 6 foot and he has thighs of a dancer and he can hold his liquor, okay? So, and this is also over about a 2-hour period. So, we go across the street to this bar and it is packed. I mean, it is packed inside and out. So, this is going to turn off in a second because I'm at 29 minutes. So anyway, we go in there and Alex is like, let's go to the bar, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, okay. So they're going up there to get their green beers, and I'm like, I was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and Demi's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom too. And so he gives Alex his money. He's like, I'll get this round, whatever. So Demi and I come to the bar, okay, or we go to the bathroom, and we come out, and I mean to tell you, my husband, well, he was my boyfriend at the time, but my husband had fallen completely out, okay? He was like all over the bar like this. There was this guy like holding him up, and I looked at this guy. This is so funny because I just said on my, okay, I'm gonna have to stop this because this is gonna, it's gonna stop anyway. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I let the camera cool down for a second. It's like still, the heat is still like coming out. I don't know why. Anyway, so Demi and I come out of the bathroom. I was just like, listen, here's my book I'm listening to, Artemis. So Demi and I come out of the bathroom, and Alex is like leaning up against the bar, and there's this guy behind him who's like massaging his shoulders, and I'm like, this is really funny because I said in my Peterisms video today, I said I'm not a jealous person, and I'm not, but like given that moment, I just was, I don't know. And I said, could you get your fucking hands off my boyfriend, please? So anyway, the guy was like, so Alex is like, he was like so slurring, and Demi looked at me, he goes, what is going on? He's only had 2 beers. I was like, I have no idea. And the bartender looked at us, and he's like, you need to get him out of here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, he tried to order and he's wasted. You need to get him out of here. And Demi's like, there's no way he is drunk. So we go back to the hotel. We had to like get him into a cab. It was like, oh no, I had my car. We had driven down there. So we get him in the car. We like walk him all the way to the car, which was like Demi on one side, me on the other. And my husband is like, he's like a big guy, so it was like hard, you know? And so we get him to the car, and why is like the heat still coming on in my car when I have it off? Anyway, and we get him back to the hotel, and we get him up into the hotel room, and he is out. I mean, like, out for the night. And we were like worried about him. Like, we like brought him in, we put him on the bed, and he like literally like face planted down. So, like 3 o'clock in the morning, that was early. I mean, it was before like 8 o'clock. So, like 3 o'clock in the morning, Alex wakes up and he is violently sick and has a headache, and he's like, I don't know what's right. And I'm still thinking like, did he do shots or something? Like, did something happen that I'm not aware of, you know? And, he was like, I don't understand what happened. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, the last thing I remember is ordering the drinks at that bar that we were at. And I was like, you don't remember going across the street and whatever? He was like, no, I don't remember any of that. And Demi and I were like, you were drugged. Okay, well, here's what's really weird, was the guy, when we ordered the drinks, he knew the Diet Coke was for me. So, and I did a whole video about this on my main channel about the time that we almost got like drugged in Fort Lauderdale on spring break. But they were trying to like drug me. I have no clue why, right? But like Alex was so messed up. I mean, he was sick all into the next day. I mean, he was like vomiting and stuff like that. In retrospect, I probably should have called and said something, and I don't know why I didn't. You know, I've become a different person today. I'm like a little bit more confrontational with that stuff. Back then I wasn't. I was just kind of like, well, okay, let's make sure you're healthy. I mean, I have never seen Alex drink so much water in my entire life. I mean, he was like, you've got to get me some water. And I remember Demi and I, like, Demi still had his like green outfit on, and I was like in shorts and a t-shirt at that point. And we like went down to like the convenience store in Fort Lauderdale on St. Patrick's Day at 3 o'clock in the morning, which was of course crazy town, you know? And we like bought back all these big bottles of water, and Alex just like chugged and chugged and chugged water. He did not feel well. So, but the learning experience from that is that like Alex is very careful now, like when ordering drinks and watching and stuff like that. It's scary, you know? Like, I think about friends of mine that like go to bars sometimes, but I mean, I've had a lot of friends through the years that have like gone to bars by themselves, or like stop at the bar on the way home from work and have a drink and stuff like that. You know, and I can imagine, if you go to the same bar every day, that would never happen to you. But like, I don't know, like, I was just talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, well, like, you know, I went and I had dinner at such and such place, and recently divorced, and they're like, and it's a guy, but I mean, I think in society we hear this stuff happen more to women, which is really scary, you know? The consequence that could happen male or female is scary, but he said, you know, oh, I was at such and such place, and I had a drink there at the bar while I was like eating my dinner. He's like, I'm just so lonely, you know? And then he said, and on the way home, I stopped like closer to my house, and I just in this bar that I'd never been to, and I just sat at the bar and I had a drink, and then I went home, and I was like, well, first of all, I said, you drive for a living, you might want to think about that before getting in a car and having had 2 drinks. Like, that's dangerous for you and other people. And second of all, like, why are you going into a bar by yourself that you've never been to before and just sitting there? Like, I don't like that. I was like, call me, like, we'll go out to dinner or something, you know? So you always want to be safe, always take friends with you that can watch out for you, always have a sober driver. You need to always, I think it's smart just to always have one sober person, even if you Uber, to have one sober person with the gang, you know, like, if you have 3 drunk people together, the chance of you guys getting home is not great. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like this foreign concept for me anyway, because it has been so long since I have drank that, like, I don't even think that way. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't even think on that level. We also, it's interesting, we don't do St. Patrick's Day anymore. Like, for a couple years after that, all of our friends that are more my age than Alex's age, there's this bar here in town called Moe's, and it's in an area of Indianapolis called Noblesville, and they have this huge tent party every year, and Alex would go there with like all of our friends, and I usually would like drive in there and drop him off and then come pick him up so he wouldn't have to drive. And like for like the last 5 years he hasn't gone. Do people still do stuff for St. Patrick's Day? You know, when my mom and dad lived in Chicago, she would talk about how they like colored the river green, and it was like a big deal, but like, I don't feel like, I mean, I always wear green on St. Patrick's Day. Who wants to get pinched, right? But, and get a Shamrock Shake from McDonald's. That sounds so good right now, Shamrock Shake. But do you guys get Shamrock Shakes? Oh my God, they're so delicious. But, yeah, I mean, we don't do anything. My mom used to always make corned beef and cabbage. I love corned beef and cabbage. I wonder if there's a place in town to get it for St. Patrick's Day. I haven't had it in forever. My mom used to get cans of cabbage and just eat it out of the can. She loved it. I think that's so weird. Looking back, spinach too, she would do that with. You guys want to hear a funny story? When I was a little kid, like, you know how like kids won't eat vegetables a lot of times? I was obsessed with okra, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and spinach. And I loved it, are you ready for this? With vinegar. Like, that was how I would eat it. Is that not so crazy? I think about that, it's so weird that was like I loved those foods. And when I came home from school, my mom would either, like, it was a special day, if we had graham crackers and white frosting, she would always do that every once in a while. But then, a lot of times when I would come home from school, I got saltines and peanut butter with a big glass of, like, milk or orange juice. I loved that back in the day. I still love anything peanut butter. Peanut butter and chocolate are like my go-to candies. Like, if I'm gonna eat chocolate, which I don't need to be eating any of that, but I think holidays are fun, you know. I just don't like holidays that center around alcohol. It's interesting because, like, somebody was saying something about the age gap. Like, I did my video about the age gap thing. Like, telling that story, like, our first year together, like, Alex's drinking was very similar to his drinking probably when he was in college. But, like, after that first year, it really changed drastically, you know? Like, he just didn't really drink like that anymore. And, I don't think he really fully understood when we first got together, like, what me being sober and being, like, living a sober life meant. don't think that he understood it. And I think after that first year, I talked about this on a video that I did the other day, and I like said it wrong. I said like when I was a year sober, but when Alex and I were like at a year and a half, because he would ask me a lot of questions. He would be like, what were you like when you were drinking? Or what were you like when you were using? And I think that his conception of it was I was a college kid and I would just go out to the bars and get drunk. Like, I don't think he had any kind of idea that I was like dealing cocaine, that I was like eating pills all day long. I mean, I was out of it. I was just out of it completely, you know? I don't even remember most of that time. You know, that's how scary that is. And so I wrote to I contacted like 10 friends that I had had back in the day that were pretty close friends of mine when I was using. And they were people that didn't, like, they used with me, like they would drink with me, but like they would have a couple. I didn't realize that people didn't drink like I did. So, you know, like they would have a couple drinks, whereas I was obliterated. So they were always my friends that were like, we're very worried about you. I always had friends that were a couple years older than me. So like, you know, they always had jobs and were in school and very serious about all that kind of stuff. And so I contacted like 5 or like 10 of them, and they all emailed, and I said, would you be willing to like write to me back so that my boyfriend can read this and tell me what I was like when I was using, and if you think it's important that I'm sober today and why you think it's important. And all 10 of them wrote back to me, or how many people I contacted, 9 or 12 or whatever it was close to 10. Every single person wrote back to me, and it was almost painful to read, because they were all like, first of all, you would be dead right now if you weren't sober. Period. I mean, like, there was no question in their minds that I would be dead right now. And they were like, you were so much trouble. We were worried about you. We didn't want you with us because we had to keep an eye on you. It wasn't fun to go out with you. They were like, you would just take off and drive home, and we didn't. And you have to remember, these are the days that there were no cell phones. So, like, you know, like if I didn't answer my home phone, they didn't know if I was home. And the other thing was, I lived on the north side, and my friends all lived downtown in Indianapolis. So it wasn't like they could drive over and see if my car was at my apartment, you know? They were like, you put yourself in really, really dangerous situations. You know, they like, a couple of them said that they had hoped that I would get arrested, because at least that way it would force me to stop using for a while, and stop dealing and doing the stuff that I was doing. And a couple of them said that they had thought about, like, they had talked to each other and thought about reaching out to my dad, because they really didn't know what to do, and they realized that nobody had any clue how bad things really were with me. So, you know, it's weird looking back on that. And I remember Alex reading those emails, and he's just like, I just can't even imagine this is you. Like, I cannot believe that this is who you were, you know? I'm like, well, it is. That's who I was, you know? But that's scary to think that that's who I was back then. All right, I'm going to stop this because I'm going to pull through and get something to drink at McDonald's because I am thirsty. So I'll be right back. Okay, can I just tell you that these women that work at McDonald's are so nice. The first one, she's like, oh, I haven't seen you for a while. I was like, yeah, I haven't been by here for a while. And she's like, well, it's so good to see you. And I was like, thanks. I was like, your lipstick is so pretty. She had this glittery lipstick on. And the second woman was like, excuse me, have a wonderful day tomorrow. And I was like, all right, you too. I said, are you going to sleep in? She's like, you know it. And then look, when I went to the bank today, this woman writes these little thank you notes. She's like the only one that does it. Have a great weekend, Julie. And it's like, I mean, it's very much like, I'm sure she just goes through and writes them and then puts them on there. But like, just that little extra, have a great, look at that. Have a great weekend, Julie. Thanks, Julie. You too. Why can we just not take those little simple measures, you know, and be nicer to people and treat people like human beings? I said that on my main channel video tonight. You know, I was talking about like how we leave comments on people's videos and how we talk to people and the things that we say to people and stuff like that. And I said, can we just be nicer to each other? Like, can we just be kinder and nicer to each other? And it was interesting because I had never really kind of thought of it this way. And I said, you know, if your immediate response when I say like, let's just be happy, you know, like, you know, let's be nice to one another or whatever. If your immediate response to that is, fuck that shit, right? you got some work to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's about you. That isn't about the issue or the drama or whatever. Like, that's about you. Like, that's your negative outlook on the world. And I have to be honest with you, there have been a lot of times in my life where I have been that negative Nancy, you know, that I have been that person where it's like, somebody will be like, oh my God, it's almost like where somebody's so happy, they drive you crazy, and you're like, why are you so happy? You know what I mean? Like, it just pisses you off that somebody's so happy. And we all of us have bad days, right? We all of us have, you know, negative Nancy days. But when you're having negative Nancy weeks and months, it's like at some point you have to take a look at it and go, man, why am I so negative all the time? Like, what is it like that I crave about this negativity, you know? And so I don't know, like, if you find your response emotionally being to people negative or in your head negative, check and see what that's about, you know? We only have one life, you know? You might as well be living the best life possible. I try to live my best life possible. You know, I try to, like, listen to music every day. And by the way, if you're on SoundCloud, follow me on SoundCloud, Peter Monn. You can see my playlist on there. True story, you can. All the songs that I download on there. But, my new song that I am listening to that I love, I will tell you what it is. Hold on a second. I'm like stopped at this train track so I can. Is John Legend, All of Me, the Kungs and Noah remix. And it is so good. It is like such a summer song. So, John Legend, All of Me, Kungs and Noah remix. Pause it, rewind it. I love music. I love to drive around and listen to music. I love to dance to music. You know, Alex and I are such... Are the deer out here tonight? No. Alex and I are such music lovers, and it's just, you know, it's such a fun life to just be surrounded by music. And, you know, it's interesting because he's very limited in his music. Like, I listen to more Latino music than he does, and he knows all of it, which is funny, but, like, I listen to a lot of it, and he hates country, and I listen to a lot of country. And then we listen to a lot of EDM, and then I listen to a lot of folk, and we both listen to a lot of, like, well, he doesn't love pop music, really, but, like, we both listen to, like, Lady Gaga and Britney Spears and all of that, you know? But I think music is so much fun. I mean, and then you know, I'm saying here, I'm like, well, music can be sad too. Well, music can be sad, but I think music is a great way to pull our emotional heartstrings, you know, like one way or the other. And when I worked with clients back in the day, I would have them make CDs, like a sad CD, like a happy CD, like a playlist for their life and things like that. And, you know, like on days that you want to just get your emotions out and you want to cry and grieve and be sad, like, it's okay. Like, I think that we're so conditioned in our society that don't cry, don't be sad, when sometimes it's good to empty your tank, you know? And, like, back in the day, I would, like, watch The Color Purple, or, you know, the very end when Miss Celie finds her sister, and you know, like, or I would, like, watch the end of Trip to Bountiful with Geraldine Page, or I would watch My Dog Skip. I mean, those last 5 minutes of My Dog Skip always get me. I mean, I could seriously, like, I should do this sometime for a video and demonetize it, because I could start watching the last 5 minutes of, okay, so I'll tell you where it is. If you ever go in on YouTube, you can find it. If you've never seen the movie, it'll ruin it for you, but you gotta see it anyway. I mean, it's maybe 5 minutes of the most fantastic movie you've ever seen in your entire 5 cinematic moments of just pure film magic. And if you go in there, it's the part where he's walking in the woods with his dad. And I think if you look it up on YouTube, it's My Dog Skip ending, or My Dog Skip, like something like that. But you don't want to watch the one where it shows him getting on a train, okay? That's at the very end. You want to watch it like when he is, like, it starts and Skip, the dog, is on, like, a vet table, and then it goes into the ending. And the music that is played is just absolutely beautiful. And it reminds me of the music from To Kill a Mockingbird, which I have the soundtrack. The soundtrack to Kill a Mockingbird is fantastic. And it also reminds me of the music from A River Runs Through It, which was one of my mother's all-time favorite movies. And if you've never seen A River Runs Through It with Robert Redford and Brad Pitt, it is absolutely fantastic. And, you know, I think about movies, and I think about music, and I think about how much they change our lives, you know. And it's so funny, like, having this conversation with you. For a moment there, I felt like I was having a conversation with my mom. Like, you know, I don't have people to talk about those movies with, and Sunday is Oscar Day. And Oscar Day was always like a special day to us. I haven't seen any of the movies this year. I don't know why I give a rat's ass, and I don't know why I'm crying. But, like, I don't have people to talk to movies about. My husband loves movies, but we don't talk about movies like that. And if I said something about a movie from the 80s, he wouldn't know what I was talking about, you know, unless it was some kind of, like, pop cultural movie. He wouldn't know, like, River Runs Through It or Trip to Bountiful or... My aunt is gone. You know, my uncle who loved movies. We never talked about movies like that, but... Gonna say, I think it's sad when when the people that you used to have certain conversations with are no longer there. You realize that, like, life is, like, kind of winding down a little bit, and that's, like, one attitude. But then my immediate afterthought to that was, then you need to go find other people to have those conversations with. You need to find new friends. You need to find new people to talk to about those things, you know, that will excite your life and make your life whole. And I believe that, you know, I believe that you gotta just keep on trucking. You gotta meet new people, and I don't know, it's just like I've been really full of gratitude. I think it's like that gratitude list I'm doing. I will say this, I did like 3 days of that magic book, and then I got 2 days behind, and I thought, I'm not gonna do this book unless I can do it every day in a row. So I think I'm gonna start it up again when we get back from our vacation, because I just got so far behind, and then I was like starting it again. And so the magic book I have put on hold. I'm gonna do it when we get back, and I'm gonna start it over again. But I've been doing my gratitude list every night and reading it the next day, and really I've been thinking about specific things that have happened to me during the day that I'm very, very grateful for, but also taking it on a larger level and looking at the overall things that I should be grateful for in my life on a regular basis, like having a home, you know, and food to eat, clean food to eat, you know, having clean water to drink, my dog's health for that day, my health for that day, you know, all these things, the opportunity to make YouTube videos, and my marriage, you know, my family, on and on and on. And what it's done is it's really changed my perspective, and it's really made me, this whole idea of simple abundance is, it's honestly life altering. And when I look at it and I think about how easy it is to take these things for granted in your life, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy that until I started writing it down on a daily basis, how many things in my life I took for granted, if that makes sense. How many things just went to the waste. A meal, you know, a whole day without pee-pee coughing, or me having, you know, really comfortable pillows to sleep on, or finding a new great song today to listen to, or reading a great book, because I'm reading that Invention of Hugo Cabret, and listening to Artemis, and spending time with Alex watching a movie tonight, you know, and planning trips, and all that kind of stuff, you know. Yes, we bitch about doing taxes, but at least we made money to do taxes, you know what I mean? So it's just this perspective that it's like this whole paradigm shift that you look at life in a completely different way. And I know I use that a lot, but it's the truth, you know? And when you start looking at life in a completely different way, it's crazy. It's like, I don't know. I'm so grateful for gratitude. And you know, that sounds crazy, but I write that on my list every night. I write down my gratitude list, I write gratitude, because it's really changed how I look at the world, you know? And I've just been in this place recently where I feel so blessed, and I feel so lucky, whether you believe in blessings or luck. And I just am so happy and so peaceful. And it's not like anything really super exciting or anything really huge and great has happened in my life recently. I'm just content, you know? And that's such a great place to be, I think, in life, you know? When you can get to a point where you're like, I'm just content. I'm just happy with where I'm at today. And I love my life today. I love my husband. I love my dogs. I love the ability to travel and the ability to make YouTube videos and write books and meet with people to do team building stuff and have my family. And, you know, I feel like I have such a miraculous life, and I'm so thankful for it every second. And the whole gratitude thing has really, because as you're going through your day and things are happening to you, you're like, okay, this is going to be my gratitude list tonight. So it keeps you present. And, I don't know. Just such a beautiful life, isn't it? We're all going to have tragedy. We're all going to have some really horrible shit that happens to our lives. Some of us are going to have shit that's 10 times worse than others, and some of us are going to have really bad days or bad things that happen in our lives that are 100 times worse than others. Sometimes think through all the things I've been through in my life, I haven't been through anything compared to some people, you know? It's like, I just can't, I mean, you guys write me these emails and you tell me about health issues that you guys are going through, you know, cancer and terminal illnesses and family members that have passed away, and I think, my God, I feel so bad for these people, you know? And yet you're so strong, and you'll say like, oh, I watched your video and it cheered me up, and that means a lot to me that I get to be part of your journey, you know, in some small way, that I got to put a laugh on your face, or laugh, you know, got to put a smile on your face and made you laugh a little bit for the day, or made you think, or took your mind off things. And, you know, that's such a, I feel like that's such a blessing that I get to be part of that. So thank you for allowing me in to your world, and then go and give that back to somebody else, you know, and let's just keep it going. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.